For this part of the tutorial, we will look at how to place students into the program and the different types of assessment in the program. Before you begin using the Carousel program, you need to know the proficiency level of each individual student, so students of the same proficiency can be grouped together for instruction. You can use the results of a formal language proficiency test, such as a state ELP test, to identify the proficiency level of a student. If such results are not available, there are two ways to place students into the Carousel program. The first option is to use a Carousel tester placement test, and the second option is to use a Carousel listening and speaking performance-based evaluation in conjunction with a chapter pretest. See the Introduction section of the Carousel Teacher's Guide for more details. Once you know the proficiency level of the student, begin instruction with the unit as shown in this chart. Once students have had the opportunity to assimilate the information of a chapter, it is necessary to assess the extent to which they have internalized the concepts. Assessment of this type, usually conducted at the end of a chapter, is referred to as summative assessment. There are two options for summative end-of-chapter testing. Option 1 is to use the formal end-of-chapter tests in the Carousel testers. These are separate testers for grades K through 1 and grades 2 through 5. The difference between the grade spans is that the grades 2 through 5 tests also assess reading and writing skills. The Carousel Tester Examiner's Manuals provide information about test administration, scoring rules, answer keys, implications for instruction, and other helpful information. These testers are not part of the premium package. They can be purchased separately. Option 2 is to use the informal end-of-chapter listening and speaking interview, outlined in the Teacher's Guide, together with the reading and writing test in the resource book. The reading and writing chapter pretests are given to students at the beginning of each chapter in Units 2 through 8 to measure their knowledge of the target vocabulary and concepts before instruction begins. The chapter pretest enables teachers to pinpoint students' strengths and weaknesses and adjust their instructional plan accordingly. The pretests also give teachers baseline information so that they can measure the progress students make before and after the chapter instruction. At the end of each chapter, students take the same test as a post-test. The chapter tests can be found in the resource book. The listening and speaking interview is found at the end of every chapter in the Teacher's Guide. Individual students or small groups are asked to perform various listening and speaking tasks that demonstrate understanding of the target vocabulary and concepts that were presented in the chapter. You should record each student's performance using Assessment Form 1 found in the resource book. Assessment Form 1 is a template that is used for every chapter. Evaluation of students must be ongoing, from the beginning of each lesson until the end. Assessment should not be solely formal traditional tests. Informal evaluations can take place in the form of teacher observations, as well as individual and group performance on activities and presentations. This type of assessment, collecting data to form and adjust instruction before or during instruction, is referred to as formative assessment. Carousel offers many options for formative assessment. The chapter overviews and evaluation checklists are found at the beginning of every chapter. They outline the learning objectives for each lesson in the chapter for each of the modalities: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Use these objectives to track each student's progress and to measure how well students are meeting the objectives. They are available as reproducible black-line masters in the resource book, so you can track each student's progress. The Observing Student Progress checklist at the end of each lesson is a reminder to stop and evaluate students' progress. Ask yourself, do students meet these key objectives? If students have not grasped a concept presented, review and reinforce as needed. For every chapter, Students compile a portfolio of work they complete for each chapter. Assessment Form 2, found in the resource book, is a portfolio evaluation to show how well students are doing and if certain areas need attention. It serves as a body of evidence to demonstrate that learning objectives have been met. At the end of the chapter, students choose 3 pieces that demonstrate their best work. Portfolios are rated superior, average, below average, and fails to meet objectives. At the end of a unit, evaluate each student's overall performance using Assessment Form 3, also found in the resource book. Students are evaluated based on mastery of chapter objectives, ability to work with others, ability to work independently, completion of assignments neatly and accurately, listening and speaking performance evaluations, reading and writing chapter tests, portfolio evaluations. If the student scores superior or satisfactory in all categories, move to the next unit. However, if the student scores not satisfactory in any categories, provide additional instruction and practice to prepare them for the next unit.